Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the man with the keys to victory, John Keys.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight?
All right. We got the double champ, George G Money Stalwart.
Showing them guns out there. Is that what y'all said?
There he is. We told him not to flex, people. We told him not to do
What had happened was.
All right.
How you doing, Combat Sports Talk Nation?
All right. And we got Kelechi KC Onyebuchi.
NOLIMIT, about face, double time to the rear.
For those of you out there, actually, that's not mystical.
No, it's
Is
not.
it? No. We were talking about mystical and starting the beat, starting the show with mystical beat, but that is a left, right, left. Get on up. I can't think of the name of the
Y'all
group,
are
though.
really telling off on y'all ghetto hood ears, man.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yes.
Like, I can't believe y'all did that.
John, do we need code switch on him? Turn into the human resources department guy.
Yeah.
I'm
I
happy
don't
to
know how
code switch. We can do Dave Matthews Band lyrics next.
Will you play some Coldplay too? Okay.
The group was
play
Drama.
that Coldplay. Okay. Don't you do it.
Yeah, come on. Hit.
Y'all keep on. We're gonna lose all our white listeners tonight. I can see this right now.
No.
no.
Kelechi can do some John Mayer too.
I bet.
I heard Kelechi
Bodies
plays
in
the acoustic
Wonderland.
guitar.
He plays the band guitar. He's got the cello in the back there. Look at that. Look over his left shoulder.
He is musically talented.
Where's the trumpet?
In the other room. It
All
hasn't
right.
gotten much play lately.
I'm not gonna go there.
Go
In the
Denzel
other
on the
room.
trumpet.
Not going there.
No. Sometimes
All right.
the alley is real.
All right. Well, hey, we have a great show for you guys tonight. Want to start off with what we had a wonderful opportunity on Friday, thanks to George G Money Stallworth, who hooked us up with an exclusive interview with Coach Durwyn Lamb of Lamb Striking Academy in Fort Worth. One of his well-known fighters is none other than Kevin Holland, who fought on the card on Saturday night. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the fights in our official decision segment. But let's start this show with the interview that George did with Coach Durwyn Lamb. All right? Here we go. That's going to be our headliner. All right, this is the headliner. This is where we talk about the number one thing we want to talk about, and that is the interview from Friday night with George G Money Stallworth and Coach Durwyn Lamb. Here we go. 2, 1.
All right, welcome to Combat Sports, folks. This is a special episode. We've got Coach Extraordinaire on, Coach Durwyn Lamb from Lamb Striking Academy, folks. Durwyn, I'm assuming you're in Vegas right now. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing, man?
Can't complain at all, man. I'm so excited to have you on the show, bruh. I've followed you
appreciate
for quite some time now, man, and I've really been looking forward to speaking to you. I've seen you from time to time in different places, but now to actually be able to have a conversation with you, man, I'm really excited. So,
Thank you so much. It means a lot to me.
all right. So, with the interview, man, basically, I just want to go through and talk about some things, find out some things maybe that you're interested in talking about. We share some common things from what I understand. You're born in June, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, June 9th.
You're Gemini.
Yeah, I am.
Well, I'm a fellow Gemini as well. I was born June
Oh,
11th,
cool.
bro. Yeah,
That's cool.
it figures, man. But tell me something. How'd you first become interested in martial arts as a whole, man? Tell me a little, or combat sports in general.
It's a family thing. I started when I was a kid. My mother was a karate fighter. My dad was a karate fighter. My stepdad, they were all fighters, man. And my uncles were boxers, my cousins were boxers. So it was just a part of the family thing. And at an early age, I was going to the karate schools in Fort Worth. Back then, karate didn't cost that much. So my mom uh, was her instructors were the guys that was the pioneers of the guys that created the Texas, what we call what we founded the American Black Belt Academy, and Alan Steen and Pat Burleson. One of my mom's instructor was Pat Burleson, which is one of the co-founders of the American Black Belt Academy up under June Rhee. June Rhee is a Korean martial artist, 10th Dan in Korean Taekwondo. Actually, June Rhee actually was a guy that actually fought and sparred Bruce Lee. When he came to the United States, he created the American Black Belt Academy in California, Texas, and Washington D.C. And so we was one of the first states that got it. So that kind of started with that, and my dad and my uncles were all a part of that lineage. And so that's how it happened, man. I was just a kid. If you would have told me 35 years ago that I would have been in martial arts, I didn't know. I was just one of those kids that was always in the karate gym or in a boxing gym with my family, not knowing it was going to be a part of my life.
Wow, man. So, I mean, literally, your family is steeped in the tradition itself. Then, so.
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
What type of karate did you practice? What type of karate background did you
Well,
come from?
I did Taekwondo, and then we did, my dad and my uncle found a system under the Japanese style, Ushiru, and then Okinawa style karate. And they created their own style called Maka, which is Modern American Karate Academy, is where I first started. But they study all different styles. Tang Soo Do. My dad was a wrestler, a black belt in judo. He was a catch wrestler, all those things back in the day. So they just, a lot of the style that they came up with had to do with all that in one setting, which was, but it stems from the Japanese style of karate, and then
So
Korean style Taekwondo.
you were basically legitimately a mixed martial artist from birth.
Yeah,
Then, I mean,
before,
technically, I mean,
yeah,
all right.
before it actually got big, I was, we did that. So
What I was gonna say, you mentioned an Okinawan karate style. Was it Shotokan or?
it's Shotokan and Ushiru, yes.
Well, we have so much in common. I started originally in Shotokan karate as well.
Oh wow,
So
yeah.
yeah, man, from way back in the day. Cattle Wars over in Greenville, Mississippi, were who I trained under. So
Oh wow.
all right, yeah, all right. How did you transition into coaching? Like, what number one? What made you want to become a coach?
Well, I actually really didn't. To be honest with you, I became a coach by almost a default thing. When I was training for fights, when I y'all there?
Yeah, we're here. You
Okay.
shaking a little bit, but we're here.
I'm sorry. When I was training for fights, my ex-wife at the time was kickboxing with me, and my stepson, who's now 26, was kickboxing with me. And when we was living in Dallas at the time, I'm from Fort Worth, but we was living in Dallas at the time. I had moved to Dallas to be with my ex-wife at the time, and she wanted to. We was moving back to Fort Worth, and she continued to want to fight. When we got to Fort Worth, my stepson wanted to continue to fight, but he only wanted me to coach him, and so I was coaching him, and that's how I built my amateur boxing team, as well as my amateur MMA team and kickboxing team at the time. Simultaneously, I had all of them going on. And then what happened was my ex-wife said that she wanted to fight. And she was probably like 31 years old at the time, but she said she wanted to be a boxer. And I, one of my old boxing coaches, Juan Franco, Puerto Rican guy, his son was on the Olympic boxing team, Puerto Rican Olympic boxing team. He actually was my coach, and he saw something in my wife. He's like, man, she should fight. And I was like, no, there's no way. And he's like, no, she should fight. So I brought it to her. I said, you want to box? She goes, yes, I would love to box. I've always wanted to be a boxer. Her brother was a good amateur boxer back in the day. Her mom was in traditional martial arts, so she kind of had a little background there. And she had a couple of kickboxing fights as well, and she wanted to box. So I started training her. She wanted me to train her, so I started training her, and she turned pro. No amateur fights, she turned pro. And within a few fights, she got ranked in the top 10 in the United States. And then that's how I was building my team from there. With the boxing, I had a good pro boxing team at the time. I had a good stable of pro boxers, probably about 6 guys, and then that's how that happened, man. I started coaching like that, and I just kind of like fell in love with it. I guess because I love people, so I fell in love with coaching because I like people, man. So it was cool coaching. I like seeing guys win, and I liked seeing the people that I was training um, achieve their goals, and it made me feel good to see them smile and it made me happy. So that's kind of how that took off with that.
Bro, when I hear you detail like your family history involved in martial arts, and then I hear not only your father's brothers and uncles were involved in martial arts, you married a woman who was a fighter. Stepson is a fighter. I know you've got some other children who may or may not be interested in fighting. It almost sounds like you have a legacy, like you built almost like a Gracie legacy, except it's the Lamb legacy, man. Are you like sharing your, I guess, your lineage with your fighters? Like,
Yeah, yeah, I'm trying. It's weird, man. I was one of those guys that just never looked at trying to build like this different kind of legacy, but I love being able to help the guys, man. And the things that was taught to me and the stuff that I've learned over the years, I just wanted to put it in them, and I like seeing um, them achieve those things. And
yeah,
so that's what it was, man. I mean, I love like coaching and seeing like the stuff that we work on that it actually works. That's actually what I like.
there's
I
nothing
like
like seeing that, is it?
Yeah, it is a good thing. And let's be real, I'm not gonna take credit for everything. A lot of guys that I've trained have had um some former martial arts background or were just athletic guys that had talent already. And I
Mhm.
just kind of maybe came in and helped sharpen up some stuff and clean up some stuff. And there was a lot of guys that I built that and I don't want to say build because that kind of sounds, but as far as like build them as far as a fighter wise, when they didn't have no knowledge at all. Let's say this: guys that came to my gym and had no knowledge at all of fighting, and I was able to. Now those guys are real. Those guys, it's a special deal with those guys because when they come in your gym and they're empty and know nothing, and you're able to show them from the ground up these things and to see it all come into play and for them to become great fighters. Now that's something that I take dignity in on that level.
Okay. T- Speaking of dignity and things like that, man, what's like some of the or one of the happiest or biggest moments for you as a coach? What
Um, there's a couple moments. Um, one training James Vick, getting him in the UFC Ultimate Fighter and in the UFC.
I
Um,
didn't. That's. I was gonna say that's something I didn't know. I didn't know you were affiliated with James Vick at all, man.
yeah, I was James Vick's. I'm James Vick's first martial arts coach and head trainer for years.
Okay.
You don't hear about it a lot because he doesn't say it or speak on it, but I got him in like 2007 when really nobody really wanted to train him, and I groomed him. He had an amateur boxing background before me, and I groomed him. I'm the one that got him his amateur um, uh, Muay Thai fights, his pro kickboxing fight, and his pro MMA fights. And then we went to the Ultimate Fighter, and then I worked his corner at the Ultimate Fighter. And then he went elsewhere. And I also got Shauna Dobson is another one that I trained that trained with me for years and got her there as well. And
Yeah, I
so,
remember Shauna.
okay, so those moments, and then honestly, man, the young man Kevin, when he came, uh, Kevin Holland, when he came to me, he was one of the ones I talked about that had he already had a pedigree. He had a kung fu background, tall, freakish, athletic dude, tough, mean. So he had all that. Before he came to me, he was already a pro fighter. Already had those things. And when he came to me about 4 or 5 years ago, he came and it wasn't hard. He had already the skill set, so we just kind of went with what he already had and fine tuned some things, and then him coming in with his energy, and because I was with the James Vick deal, man, it kind of broke my heart. As a coach, I had my heart broken a lot of times, and so this young man came in with a new energy, a new vibe, and he had it's kind of remind me of myself a lot when I was younger, and so it was cool. Like first fight I had with him was when he fought a Muay Thai fight. Um, and then after that it kind of went from there. So that was kind of like my almost like my rebirth to like wanting to coach again and feeling that vibe again because I was kind of getting, kind of out of it. And so having him around, it was cool. And he's wild and he's just kind of a fun character and just, kind of had me back on my toes again. So that actually started me on this new journey of coaching. Where I'm at today, that started. You never know when God and how God will put people in your life at times and in the times that you need, and that's what happened. So, and then in between that time, I kind of lost the drive again and got it back, and so that's where we're at now, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you began to speak on it, man. Interviewing you is such a pleasure because, like, everything that I want to talk about, you kind of flowing into it already. That was
Yeah.
going to be my next question: was what are some of the difficulties you faced as a coach? You spoke on some of it already, such as losing a fighter, things like that, man. For the common fan out there who doesn't know, because we very often people don't get to. We know about fighters, we hear about fighters. You see interviews on fighters. You don't see a lot of interviews on coaches necessarily.
Amen.
And so a lot of people really don't understand what it's like to coach and some of the difficulties we as coaches face. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, man, I tell people this: if you ever want to become a coach, prepare to have your heart broken. It's happened to me many times. It's an emotional subject for me because as a man, more than anything, I want people to win in life, not just as fighters. If I was just a coach, and that's it, then I missed a big part of what my purpose here on this earth was. And I believe in helping people better themselves in their spirituality and their life, which I believe that's the most important thing. I don't want people. I want people to become spiritual world champions more than I want them to become fighting world champions. If you become a fighting world champion along the way, that's a part of the deal and that's an extra thing, icing on the cake. But for me, is the thing, and I've poured my spirit into a lot of people, a lot of guys, and only to people to leave, have my heart broken. You hear a lot of stories where coaches treat fighters wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not that coach. There's not a coach. There's not a fighter in this world that can say that I've done them wrong or done them bad. I've done them any kind of way. And so when those things happen behind the scenes, when you're being a mentor to them, when you're the dad, the uncle, everything, you're spending your own money to go out of town for trips, you're there for them 3 o'clock in the morning, need somebody to talk to, you wrap their hands, you mentor, you coach, all those things go in part of it. And when you give people all that, and only for them to turn their back on you or go somewhere else when you never had an argument with them, when you never did nothing wrong to them, but look out for them. Those are the biggest challenges, man. And for them to go somewhere else and do that, it could be quite draining at times. And I just learned through the years I have tough skin. I just learned through the years to not let none of that change me as a man because I still got to do and my life. I still got to continue with my life and do right. But yeah, being a coach, there's times I want to quit. There's times, they don't see the financial things we take as far as, my gym shut down twice. People don't know that. It shut down twice because, you let guys train for free and you try to help them out and they take advantage of you, take you for granted. And it's just so much, man, that you have to deal with as a man and as a coach and as a mentor and as a leader and as a big brother and as a dad figure that they don't take serious and they take it for granted. They don't see the heart of the coach and of the man. And they just think that you're supposed to be there for them. And they don't realize that it's just you and you're dealing with everybody else. I have family, I have children, and I have bills and I have all this stuff too. And a lot of coaches deal with this stuff, man. They really deal with it. It's not just me. It's a lot of coaches all over the world. But I just decided this time around when I decided to come back and take coaching serious, that I wasn't going to allow that to happen. But coaching has opened up a lot of avenues for me too, as well. Guys use coaching to open up my YouTube channel, my podcast, also me doing motivational speaking to the inner city kids, the street kids, and colleges and high schools and stuff like that. So, I'm glad that I became a coach because it's helped open up of avenues, and I'm not limited to a lot of things. And I'm gonna continue to always be a coach, whether it's in martial arts, whether it's life, and whatever it is. I'm gonna always be that. So.
Well, there you have it. That was just a snippet of the interview. We're gonna be posting the entire interview with Coach Durwyn Lamb to tomorrow when we post the full thing. But we do have a special surprise tonight, and that is we have Coach Durwyn Lamb right here with us tonight. Hello,
Oh, man.
Coach.
Coach. Wow.
What's up, y'all?
What's
How
up?
you
What's
doing, bro?
What's
up?
going on, man?
Man, you know, trying to stay sucker free in a world full of lollipops.
All right. Well,
All
Can,
right.
I,
can you see it? How you beautiful black men doing tonight, man?
We are great.
yeah, we're doing good tonight.
Loving it,
Well,
man. Glad to have you on, bro.
Some of us are feeling it tonight.
Uh-oh,
No comment.
Look, everybody got their cups.
Look, hey, look.
Oh.
Cheers.
Uh-huh.
Salute. All right. So, yeah, Coach. Good to have you on here tonight. So what you been up to now? What are you doing now? That I mean, we've heard parts of the interview, and like Ryan said, the rest of the interview will be posted tomorrow. What's the current events going on right now?
Right now, like right this minute.
Well, besides enjoying whatever's in that cup, I'm talking about like what
Man, just really just trying to settle back in. You know, I've been in Vegas really for like 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So, you know, it was been rough, you know, and they had us quarantined and just a bunch of crazy stuff. And I got back home yesterday and me and my lady went and hung out and ate. So I was gone all day, hung out with my son for a little bit, and then I was right back to work this morning at the gym, and it was cool, man. It was a good feeling being back and seeing all the guys were so excited to see me and the smiles on their face when I walked in, and they were so happy this morning. And when I went back tonight for class, they were all excited. They was all there, pretty full class, so it was good, man.
Well, we are super excited too. Well, you know, like George said on Friday, like we were going to be watching. You know, who cares about Derek Lewis? We wanted to watch Kevin Holland fight. That was what we were excited about. And man, did he put on a show! I mean, he put on a show.
Yeah, he did.
Man.
He did, man. He did.
Durwyn, what were your thoughts when you saw that knockout, bro?
Man, you know, I wasn't surprised. You know, I was very impressed because for a long time I've been trying to get him to sit on that right hand. And so me and the other coach been working a lot on his boxing and how to turn it over his hand. You know, I tell people in MMA, if you know how to throw your hands like a boxer, you can go very, very, very far in that octagon. Because let me tell you something. Let's be real here. Most of the percentage of the people in MMA don't know how to throw correct punches.
Yeah.
It's true. So I try to teach my guys how to punch like boxers. So when he dropped him the first time, because you know he dropped him in the first round.
Yes.
Okay. And then when he threw that land, and you look at the picture in the slow motion way he threw it right hand, it was almost picture perfect.
It was.
Yeah.
Turn over his hips, turn over his hand, all that.
Caught him at the end of the punch, the whole nine.
Yeah. Mouthpiece went
the
flying.
I've watched that replay multiple times over, and you can tell Kevin, like, he saw it. He's like, oh shit, the cross is there, and he thought about it again, and finally it was right there. It was perfect timing, man.
Yeah, he has a good intellect in the cage too. And I noticed the older he gets, the more he comes to maturity of what we call a fighter's intuition, fighter's intellect, ring savvy, that kind of stuff. He had that. He was very poised because the guy was trying to kill him.
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
The
he
guy
was.
was trying to kill him. The guy was trying to kill him the whole time. The guy was trying to take his head off the whole time.
what I was most impressed about him was how poised he was through the whole situation.
Yeah.
Indeed, he had a confidence or a maturity about him that seemed like that was just another day in the office for him. And that's what really impressed me about Kevin Holland. I do hope to see him very, very, very soon.
Yeah, definitely will.
Now,
I think the thing that shocks people though
okay.
is people don't realize how many UFC fights Kevin has had already, man. Like when you spoke about that in the interview, like he's crept up there with the number of fights in the UFC he's had already, and people don't realize it. So
right. Yeah, he has. Shoot, I think that was number 7.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 6 or 7 for sure.
Well, he's definitely a dark horse in this. He slipped right under the radar. Didn't even say I say it. He slipped right under the radar. I did not even notice him. My fault.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
were you not one of those guys on the hype train when we first?
He must not have been on the hype train because I will never forget. I'll never forget. This is when we were still doing the live shows at Austin Avenue, and George said, "Oh, you got to watch this next guy coming up. His name is Kevin Holland. Like he's gonna come out of nowhere. He's gonna be great." And I'm like, "Well, we gonna see. I mean, come on, we gonna see."
Coach D, they had no faith in me when I told them about Kevin.
And then he comes out. He puts on a show. I think they finished the guy in like the first 2-3 minutes of the fight. Round 1 knockout. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm a believer. And so we went on the show and we got this sound effect. It's the hype train.
Right.
We hear it right quick.
Yeah. I'm playing it. Yeah. And so we got this sound effect that we play, and it's like that's the hype train. So I was believer. I had to see him fight once, but I was a believer.
Well,
You're a believer, but
go ahead, Kelechi.
no, it's just you're a believer, and I'm here for that. But I'm pretty sure you also said that you could take him.
No. Okay, now, Coach. See, you are new to this show. You are new to this show, so let me tell you. There's some things that are at foot here that you were not aware of, and that is, so Kelechi here, with the green hat on, he trains in Denver, and he was training at Factory X where Anthony Lionheart Smith was. And I once put an Instagram post out there that might have suggested that Kelechi was interested in sparring with Mr. Smith at Factory X.
You said I could beat him.
Listen, I had well.
Needless to say, there was a hit out on Kelechi at Factory X after that.
It was unsafe.
So he is trying to get me back, Coach. I don't want to have anything to do with Mr. Holland and his hands. You know.
I get it, man. I like y'all's energy, man. You know, Factory X is where Chris Gutierrez trains.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now you know he's like my little brother.
Dude.
And
He was just here in Texas this weekend, you know.
Yeah, this is where he's from, born and raised. And through the years, he always cross-trained with me. I sparred with him a lot of times, helped him get ready for some things. And his old coach is a good friend of mine, and I've been close with him for years. So when I saw him in Vegas last week, he was very excited to see me, and we got catching up. Good guy. But yeah, it's cool to see the guys that I've worked with and helped or been friends with make it good, man. I love seeing it.
All right.
I think there's a lot of good new fighters who've recently got contracts with the UFC that the UFC, I feel, has needed some shakeups. Like a lot of the storylines have been the same. We've seen a lot of the same faces who haven't been able to climb the ranks, but I think in every division, we've got some new up-and-comers who are going to be interesting. And then for me, just being able to train a couple of the different gyms around here, just like seeing the groundwork and what it takes to make it to that level, it's, it is quite the journey when you make it to the UFC.
It is. It really is. It's a lot that goes on behind closed doors that people don't see.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of that, Coach, can you tell us, what was the week like in preparation for Saturday night? The build up all through. I know you spoke about it on the interview between us, how you had a quick turnaround. I think y'all left Vegas on Sunday and you were back in Vegas on Tuesday.
Indeed.
Can you tell us about your week, man? Can you enlighten us on that?
Yeah, it was pretty rough because well, the first week we didn't know about the quarantine, the testing, and all that, so we was kind of blindsided, didn't know what was going on, so we kind of like had to like scramble and get prepared. Excuse me. But the next week, this week when we went back, we're a little bit more prepared. But it's rough. Being in that hotel room all week. They test you on Tuesday, and then they quarantine you for 24 hours to the next morning, Wednesday. Then you go get your temperature check again. If everybody's clear and everybody's clean from the COVID, then what they do is they let you go do some stores to get food and stuff like that, and then you're cool till Friday. But even in those middle days, they don't want you really going nowhere. Their thing is go to the store, go get your groceries, come back. Friday, you take another COVID test in the evening time, and then they quarantine to the next day of the fight. So, you spend a lot of time with each other in the room, and I mean, there are some intense moments, between coaches and fighters and us, having some intense conversations and things like that because people are going crazy,
Yeah. Cabin fever is real.
Yeah, it was real. So, and then so after the fight Saturday, then they release you to go whatever you need to do, whatever you need to go. But yeah, it was rough. Is it worth it? Sure. After the win like that, it's definitely worth it. Got back home and we know what to do now. So the next time will be my third trip. So, we fought in Florida. I don't know if y'all know that. We fought in Florida May 16th. And that's when he won by knockout, 39 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that bad. They let us, we had to wear a mask in the hotel, but they let us move around and do what we needed to do. So this time
I got a just different, doesn't even make sense to throw it out here question, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So we've talked a lot about Tyron Woodley on the show. Like, that's my dude. Like, I'm here for it. And what I've seen time and time again is the way that he comes into these fights recently is that he's a slow starter, right? He's trying to play with, like, from the champion mindset, and he's not putting himself in too many risky spots, and he's trying to land that one big shot. When you're working with fighters, how do you change their mentality from being a sit back to actually generating more offense if their style has traditionally been being a counter puncher?
Well, number one, I know the personality of all my fighters. Yeah. So, but I do train all my fighters the same way, but I also train them according to their personality.
Okay.
That's what helps me to be a decent coach, because I understand the mental and mindset of it. So I have a saying in my gym: you're not going to be a fighter that fight only one way. Now you'll be a fighter that you will have that adapt to your certain personality, certain body type, certain energy, but you won't be conformed to one style of fighting.
Yeah.
And so I make sure all my guys know that at any given time, because let's be real here, you could be preparing for a fighter, right? And you think that he's going to fight this way, and then you get in the cage, he might be preparing, doing something different. So when he changed,
I was going to get you.
So like what Drake said in the song, things change, people change, feelings change too, right? Yeah. You got to straight up. So I coach with that mental state, like, and see, in my gym, we get so many different styles of fighters that come through there. So one thing I will say about my guys, they're never not ready for a certain style, because we've seen a lot of the styles. We train with a lot of styles. So if things have to adjust, there's times I've had to adjust a fight plan in the middle of the fight, like in between corner. Like, hey, look, he's doing this now. Let's throw out this window and let's get to this. And these guys do this stuff on cue, man. It's crazy. But that's where you have that relationship, fighter coach relationship, and bond with the guys. Woodley, love him to death. Think he's a great guy, but he's always had like his spirit. One day he can show up, 100% ready to kill you. Next day, he might have a little off night. Next day, he might come back and kill you. So it's just something that goes on in the spirit and the mental state of the fighter. But I tell my guys, no, the mental thing is number one first. The physical thing comes with it, but it's number one. So when anything changes, you got to be ready to change with it.
So I think that's solid work, because I look at Woodley for sure still has the tool sets to do some big things in the division. I know Gilbert Burns is just a whole different beast, a whole different animal in the way that he attacks. But I look at where Woodley started to land and just staying to this game plan that really doesn't seem to switch for him. He comes in ready to fight one way. It reminds me a lot of OSP, where he's got so much potential, but man, he is a slow starter. He just doesn't know how to generate offense and just keep it going. And I can't really tell if it's a gas tank thing, but really what it comes down to for me is like the way that these fighters are approaching the fights. It seems like time and time again, like they've been beat mentally before they walk into that octagon.
Yeah, a lot of that is the case. A lot of that is for sure the case. That's why I'm always preparing my guys for the mental battle before anything else.
Speaking of being prepared before you enter the ring, one of the things that we really noted with Kevin was talking right out the gate. No slow start, no nothing. Like immediately he was talking to Buckley. Some of the things we couldn't hear in the audience, but you being right there, man, like what's that like? You've known Kevin. I've seen Kevin fight before, and Kevin, that is his normal, natural state. He is talking to everybody while he's in the cage, man. I've seen him talk to commentators on the side in the middle of a fight over the cage. Literally, he stands up over the cage, talking to a commentator while he's holding somebody down.
Mm-hmm.
What's that like for you as a coach?
Well, it's less stressful, to be honest with you. He can be pretty stressful at times outside the cage, but he's young. He's young, and we deal with that. But in the cage, he's the less stressful fighter I have to worry about inside the cage, because he has a belief system and a confidence and a fearless mindset, and he does that. He was talking to Thiago.
Yeah.
So,
oh wow,
Thiago's a killer, and we did good against Thiago.
There were times when Kevin was on top of Thiago, if I remember correctly.
Oh, we won
dropping
the second.
elbows.
We won the second for sure, hands down. He hurt Thiago a couple of times, almost submitted him. So, and in the second round we won for sure, hands down. He controlled most of the fight in the second round. If you guys go back and look at it, reverse him, had him on top, elbowed him up, had him in that position. So, and this was on a 13-day notice against a monster like that. Then nobody else wanted to fight.
Yeah. And that was what weight was that? That was at 205 or was that at 185?
It was at 185.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's probably the less stressful fighter to deal with inside the cage, because he always comes in ready to fight. He's gonna talk. He's gonna say things, but that's a part of his strategy.
Yeah.
As well, and people they fall into it. And that's how he breaks people down and then destroy them.
He does it well, man. That was a textbook performance he put on Saturday night, man. I can imagine you had to be very, very proud and happy for the performance he put on, man. Did you hear any feedback from anybody, any of the brass in the UFC? Dana get a call? Anybody call up and it's like, hey, dude.
Oh man, his between him and mine, social media blew up all night long.
Yeah.
Those people love Kevin, man. Dana White loves him. They love this guy because he's down to fight anytime. They love interviewing him. He is the talk of one of the big talks of the UFC right now.
Yeah.
He really is. You know, my thing is, my job and my attempt to the job is to make sure that he does not lose sight of what the focus is and what's important. And if he can do that and can steady grow, not only as a fighter, but as a young man and a human being, and clean up some stuff in his life as we all got to, and learn how to, just, and I don't mean nothing bad, like he's not doing nothing bad, just the young man thing, just to get more spiritual in tune with what's going on. He'll be a world champion for sure. He has the potential, he has the skill sets, he has the tools, he has the mindset, he's fearless, he has the personality for it, the look, he's got it.
And he's got a great coach backing him.
That's right.
By all means, man.
That cares about him.
I love what you're doing with him, man. It shows, bro. Coaches don't get a lot of commendations, a lot of feedback and things like that, man. But what you've done with him, what I've seen you do with some of the other fighters that you had in your stable, man. I can't thank you enough for even coming on our show and allowing yourself, to speak to our audience and get a chance to see what it's like to be a coach, what coaches go through, things that you have to endure, and then what it's like to be on top as a coach as well, man. Bruh, my hat is off to you, for real, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man, and it means a lot too, as well, coming from brothers, if it makes sense. So many times we are against each other, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've never been that way. And I'm not against humanity at all. I'm with all God's people, but to see the love and what you say means a lot. It truly does from my heart. I'm a heartful person, so everything that I do comes from my heart. So to hear that from you makes me feel really good, and it helps me keep going and drive harder, because like I told you the other day, there's times that I just didn't want to coach no more. I didn't like the way it made me feel. I put so much energy and spiritual love, physical love, financial love into what I do, and I didn't feel like it's being reciprocated back to me. And so I just realized that I wasn't going to allow nobody to change me as a man, because I knew that I would be blessed regardless of what somebody else do. I knew that I can't let nobody change. By the way other people act, I knew I couldn't let nobody change me and change who I am as a man, because ultimately if I did that, I would lose. And so I realized if you just stay strong, stay steadfast, sit still, as they say, trust the process, then everything will work out. There's a saying, the two words I have is appointed time, and everybody has their appointed time. I've been doing this a very long time, and I've dealt with a lot of things in this game, probably more than most coaches has dealt with, or a lot of coaches have dealt with. And there's times that I wanted to maybe even give up, maybe want to do something else. And even though I had those thoughts, I stayed true to the game and stuck by what I believed in, and allowed patience and humility to become one of my biggest friends. And that's what helped me. That's what helps me every day in my life, as a man, as a coach, as a mentor, father, whatever, and also understanding the natural mind state of humanity and how they get down and how they live and how they are. It helps me okay, well, people are naturally like this, but I don't have to be like this. So I'm just going to continue to do what I got to do. And if they appreciate it, great. If they don't, other people will. And that's just the way I live my life. That's why I have peace and sanity, and I have less stress now, because I have understanding, which to me is better than wisdom in some way, because there's a lot of wise fools out there, right?
Amen.
But if you have understanding, which is where they say wisdom preserves you, but understanding keeps you. If you have understanding, then you can understand what wisdom is. And so now I have that in peace. I'm able to say, okay, certain things is not worth me. Some things I gotta let go. Some things I gotta keep going. And I just live my life day to day just like that. And that's how you keep stress away, especially dealing as a coach, man, for sure.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think, we should leave it at that. That is so well said, so well put. Thank you so much for just just coaching us up on just life. I mean, one of the things that you said on the interview is that, you want to make your fighters champions at life first,
Not just in the cage. Yeah.
not just in the cage. And it's those
Yeah.
types of insights that really help a person see all of the things that are in their life. They're not just a single fighter. They are a fighter and a father and a son and all of these things, or a daughter. All of these things put into one. And so we have to learn to live our lives in a way that allow us the ability to be whole people and not just one dimensional.
Amen. I appreciate. Amen.
Coach,
Shoot.
Coach D, tell us, where can young fighters who are looking to bone up on the Lamb striking system or anything like that, where can they find you? How does someone come and train with you, anything like that? And where can people find you on social media, man?
Well, you can. My personal page is Durwyn Lamb. My business page is Lamb Striking Academy and Fitness. I have a business page at Lamb4 in Instagram, and then my personal page is Durwyn_Lamb on Instagram. And that's how people can find me. We're in Fort Worth, Texas, 3001 Shamrock Avenue. And that's how you can get a hold of me. You can message me, text me. I'm one of those guys, believe it or not, that tries to literally try to like, I get blown up so much, but I literally try to respond. I'm making my business to try to respond to everybody. I get so many random messages from people like, hey man, I know you don't know me, but I love what you do. And I always try to respond. So
Yeah.
you just know that I'm one of those guys, and it might be a time eventually where I might not be able to always respond, but I'll make it my business to do that. So if you want to hit me up, you can hit me up on all those platforms, and I'll make it my business to try to respond respectfully.
I can attest to that, man. I hit you up and you hit me back almost immediately. I've known of you, been in the game with you now for about 4 or 5 years. We actually, the first time we met, I don't know if you remember it, we were out to a Christmas dinner together over at Matito's in Richardson, or it might have been North Dallas. It was, I don't know if you remember, Simon, what's Simon's name? He owned a title boxing club up in North Dallas.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you went to Christmas dinner. I used to work for Simon back in the day.
I was with my ex-wife.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and one of my fighters was with me, Sean. Yes.
That was the first time I met you. And like I said, I've seen you all over the game, man. We've been at different venues together, always see each other. We never really had a chance to kick it and sit down and talk, man. But I can say from the moment I hit you up on social media, I was like, hey, look, man, we'd love to have you on the show. I felt the love immediately. I so appreciate that, bro.
I appreciate you. It goes both ways, man. I appreciate all you, really I do. Thank you guys for everything. It means a lot to me as well. Humbly, I say that.
All right. Well, we definitely want to have you back on the show. As you have more success, then definitely want to bring you back and break down the fights with you. Because it's always interesting to hear a coach's perspective of the action that happens in the ring.
Amen, man. I'm with it. One more thing, real quick, for you guys, man. Just I want to say this because everything going on in the world right now, we can make a lot of focus because that's an enemy. It's devilish and it's evil to pay attention to everything that's going on. I say for us, we keep showing love to one another, and we keep focusing on what we can do to change, because we can't change the world. Let's be real. The world's going to be what it's going to be. But we can change our environment, and we can change certain things, and we could change with each other. And that's how we spread change amongst our community, amongst the people that we love. And you guys please just keep doing that. And we keep showing love to each other. And like we up here laughing and having a good time, we keep doing that. And people see that stuff. We might not change everybody because we're not going to, but people will get something out of everything that you do and everything that I do. And we just keep that going. And that no matter what happens in this world, happens in this life, that it don't change the hearts of the men that's on this podcast right now. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, bro.
Amen.
Thank you. Well said.
Amen.
Very welcome.
Thank you,
Coach
sir.
D, glad to have you on tonight, man. You go enjoy the rest of your night. We'll be talking with you soon, man.
Thank you. Bless you, brothers. Y'all have a great night.
All right,
All right.
same
All
to
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
again, bro.
All right now. You too. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
That
Oh my
was-
gosh.
George, you did the fool tonight. You did
It
the fool
was
tonight.
not me, man. It was
All
Coach
right.
D. That was all him. I hit him up earlier, and I was just giving him the breakdown that we were going to put his clip on the show tonight, and I just put it out there. I was like, hey, man, if you're free and available, if you feel like hopping on, and he was like, 100%, he was with it, and bam, and I figured I'd surprise you guys with it, and
Man,
it just perfect timing, man. When y'all came back and you saw him on screen, what did you think?
I was like, why is this video still up here? Hold on, let's take this video back there. I was like, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. That's not the video. Oh, snap. I was like, yeah.
I thought we got Skype bombed.
I know. I was like, I mean, we could really just like shut the show down at this point because he said everything. He said everything. He left with a positive message. He came in peace. He left in peace.
Yes, he did.
I have no more sarcasm.
Dude,
Well-
if y'all get a chance, go and follow that bro on social media, man. He is always putting out uplifting messages, sending out positivity, or just honestly speaking his mind. Even when things aren't going so great, he puts it out there. He's open. He's honest. He puts his heart out there, and you're never not going to know where you stand with him, man.
Well, I will absolutely do that when we get off off the show, and then what we'll do is when we publish everything, we'll put some of his social media contact information out there as well. So, I think that's worthwhile. We do have a lot of shows still left to do, so let's get into it. There was a fight on Saturday night. It was called The Official Decision. This was UFC Vegas 6. Lewis versus Oleinik, August 8th, 2020 at the UFC Apex Arena. This is the official decision. All right, so we got 5 fights that we're going to talk about on the card. We already talked about Kevin Holland's fight, so we're going to go ahead and talk about the other fights on the card. Benil Dariush. Only thing I want to say about him is spinning back fist, boom.
You know
Rocked
what?
him.
That was the one
You're
fight
not
I
gonna
did
finish
miss.
that?
Hey, did y'all hear? Benil said that one of his son's friends told him that he's been playing him in the UFC game, and he told him that on the game that he has a really nice spinning back fist. He should try it. And Benil said, you know what? He told the child, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it 2 shots. And then sure enough, it landed and finished the fight. So he said he's calling his child up and probably gonna have him in his corner next fight.
That would be awesome. Well, Yana Kunitskaya defeated Julia Stoliarenko. There we go.
Say that name again.
Stoliarenko.
We'll give him a 9.5.
What?
Yeah. Listen, I got Yana Kunitskaya because she is the wife of Thiago Santos.
Really?
Yes. I did not know Julia Stoliarenko, but she lost by unanimous decision. Maki Pitolo lost to Darren Stewart via submission, guillotine choke in round 1. In the co-main event, Chris Weidman narrowly escaped Omari Akhmedov.
What did y'all think about that fight, man? What did y'all think about Weidman? Let's not even
Sloppy.
talking about the fight.
Sloppy.
So Was this a case of like a little ring rust or anything? Like what was going on?
But you don't believe in ring rust, right?
Weidman's just passed it.
I think he's passed.
Thank you. We were talking about this earlier, and you know, he's he's a relic, unfortunately, because his division.
It couldn't. Is there any way you think it could have just been a bad night in the office?
No,
He's
it's
had
a
too many
pattern.
of those.
Yeah, he has a pattern about that.
Well, it could be a bad night in the office, right? Like I don't want to completely write Chris Weidman off. I mean, this is a guy who came into and took the UFC by storm in many ways. Then, he ran into Luke Rockhold, which I have that poster right here. It was the same night that Jose Aldo ran into an Irishman named Conor McGregor for 13 seconds. But after that, it just seems like he hasn't been able to get together. He tried to go up to 205. That didn't work out for him. Came back down, barely eked one out. This is
against the number 11 contender.
Ironic that both those fighters you mentioned, Aldo and Weidman, just have not been the same since that card.
Yeah, basically.
Somebody put some bad juju on them.
Well,
that's what it is. It's a root. Somebody got the root on them. They were probably in the same locker room.
I was trying to honor your request.
I'm just saying that they were probably in the same locker room, and somebody just came in there and threw a root at them, and they were probably meant to hit Weidman, but Jose was like, "Oh no!" and he probably threw his arm and probably hit him on the arm, probably hit him on the arm or something, and
hit him on the chin.
Yeah, and that's been it.
Softened up that chin.
I guess he got some of that Irish gypsy magic or something. I don't know.
I don't know. But in the main event of the evening, Derek Lewis defeated the boa constrictor Alexei Oleinik via TKO in round 2.
I see all night long with that fight, dude. When Alexei had that, I think he was working on an Americana or either a Kimura. He had Derek Black Beast. He had the arm fully extended out, man. That was a scary moment for me because out of everything, what I didn't want was Derek to be hurt.
Right.
But for him to finish the fight in that fashion against a guy that is like number 1 on the ground, oh my God, dude, you got to move him up in the rankings over this.
I mean, it was like watching Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom, and you see the battle between the crocodile and the python. That's exactly what I was looking at, and the crocodile
Did
just
you use that show's full government name?
Yes, I did. Okay, I used to watch that every Saturday morning after the cartoons was over.
Omaha.
And once the cartoons are over and Soul Train is gone, it is Mutual Omaha Wild Kingdom.
You telling our age, John.
Listen, he don't have to tell his age. That beard says it all. But anyway.
Y'all just jealous because you can't get this gray to look this good. Okay, remember that. All right.
Damn it. Your beard looks weird. Thinking of the Just for Men commercial.
I'm jealous because he had cable back in the 70s like that.
Right, exactly.
I had to put the little rabbit ears up and hope that Mutual of Omaha would come in.
3 channels. 3 channels.
In Dallas back in the day. So Dallas had in the 3 channels that it did have. Well, no, it had 4, 5, 8, and 11 and 13. Between the 5 channels that it had at the time, on channel 8 after Soul Train, it was Mutual Omaha Wild King. All right, and then
millennials don't even know what a channel is even more.
I know.
Speaking of not knowing what channel it is,
what's up?
Do you put Black Beast closer to Ngannou? And if so, I'm sure we can talk about it later, but do you think the Black Beast has a chance against Ngannou?
They've already fought.
Yeah, but that was a different version of both of those fighters.
Yeah. And so it would be an interesting fight for sure. I think they should run it back. But what we were going to talk about a little bit later is that the person who called dibs on Derek Black Beast Lewis was Curtis Blades. I want to see that fight. But Derek Lewis said that he is not fighting again until he can drop another 15 or 20 pounds. So he said he is tired of having to cut weight to 265. He wants to get down to about 240, 230 and be fighting at that So I think that if he can add a little more agility to what he already has, a little more strength and muscle, this dude could be a legitimate contender, especially if if we can get Daniel Cormier out of the picture.
No, forget that. The only thing Derek needs is a decent gas tank. Okay, you give him a decent gas tank and give him like a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and the man's got everything that he needs.
Well, I think
he
it
doesn't need any belts in jiu-jitsu. All the grappling guys he's dealt with, none of them, not one of them has been able to do anything. Has anybody submitted Derek Lewis?
No.
That speaks volume. Daniel Cormier had a hard time holding Derek Lewis down.
Daniel Cormier choked him out. Daniel Cormier choked him out.
Had a hard time holding him down on the mat.
But when you have like the most dangerous heavyweight grappler and you manhandle him, okay, best a submission artist. We'll call him submission artist. And
Fabricio Verdum.
Yeah, I was like,
gotta get El Cavallo.
Verdum, though?
Right here.
Verdum hasn't came across it. I think we need to have that test. I think that it's not going back far enough, dude.
I can't go far. I can't go back any farther.
I don't know how he does it. He's freakish like that, dude. I don't know, but yeah, I think that would be I would say a bigger test for him to face Verdum. That would be the test, I guess, now, because we know he has the power. We know he can knock people out in a heartbeat. We know he can survive. He can explode off the ground, and when he explodes, he's getting up. So we need to have somebody there that can keep him there and see what he does.
This win makes the heavyweight division all that more attractive for me. So I think of all the divisions right now, there's so much activity that still needs to be had in the heavyweight division. And I just like the run that he's on right now. And it creates all sorts of interesting storylines that can be had down the road, depending on what happens with Cormier. So I'm just a fan. I think it's one of the divisions that it's been stuck and it's still held up, but all the while there's still good conversations to be had and good matches to be made along the way.
And I just want to add in there that it was Ryan and it was KC that mentioned Cormier before me. That's all I want to say.
We're going to get to it. Just can you hold on? Hold on, old soldier.
I'm holding on to hope.
I'll take that.
Keeping hope alive.
All right. That's it for let's close the book on this one, put it on the shelf because this card is history. Let's go into the finding the angles. All right, we're in finding the angles. We're going to talk about some headlines. We're going to go pretty quick through these headlines, all right? Just because we have a lot to talk about in a short amount of time to do it. Jeff Neal. So Kevin Holland is not the only hometown hero for us here in the DFW area. We got Ryan Babyface Benoit. We got a lot of other people, but Jeff Neal is also one of those guys that we definitely like to follow and support. And we just learned that he has been in the hospital with a staph pneumonia and sepsis. That is a bad concoction of illnesses.
It's major. It's almost life-ending.
Yes, but he is expected to recover. Unfortunately, he will not be able to fight against Neil Magny on August 29th. That was a sure win for him. So I am so disappointed.
What are you saying about Neil Magny?
Listen. All I gotta say is this: I am not on the Neil Magny hype train. Neil has let me down too many times. So I have Jeff Neal forwards, backwards, side to side, all the way down to the end of the line.
Neil Magny is going to turn into your who can't fight Jackie Hill.
Angela Hill.
Angela Hill.
There it is. Yeah. Jackie Hill's the rapper. Yeah, that's going to turn into your Angie Overkill Hill, where you realize, I've hated on this person, but they've switched their game up. I feel like Neil Magny has switched his game up. And yeah, your hometown hero would be game, but I don't know if we can throw out any sure victories against a Magny who's really refocused his game.
Well, we're going to see what happens, because with Jeff Neal not being able to fight, Robbie Lawler is stepping into his place. And so we're going to see Robbie Lawler come back against Neil Magny. And then we're going to see Mr. Kelechi Onyebuchi if Neil Magny can actually do something.
Now, what we're going to see is that there's a reason to have a Legends League and say, bruh, this is, I appreciate the work that you put in, but you're old.
Wow, what are y'all saying?
Robbie Lawler is old? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, he's old.
Casey, I'm gonna need you to come down on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. to Carmel DFW to my Muay Thai sparring class. I'm gonna need y'all quit talking about old people. I'm feeling some kind of way about this. One reason
that will ever get me to go to your sparring class.
Come through, man. We just doing body spar, no headshots.
Everybody knows that when you body spar, you throw for the fences because no knockouts are possible. I'm not trying to get a broken rib.
Yeah.
I like my ribs.
I like ribs too. I like ribs and liver and.
How much for one rib?
Well, speaking of training, we got us a UFC 254 coming up pretty soon, and Khabib Nurmagomedov is not going to be training in the gym in California. He's going to stay in Dagestan, and Coach Mendez is actually going to go to Dagestan to train Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Interesting.
So that's going to be real interesting. Coach Mendez has been in the news a lot because he has said, and let me get your music ready. He has said that if Daniel Cormier, the winner of the Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic fight, will get a shot or will get offered a big money fight against John Jones moving up to heavyweight. So where is it? Here it is. I'll play it. There it is. Wait, am I playing the X-Files music?
Yes, you're supposed to be playing the X-Files music.
Okay, I'm playing it. You must not be able to hear it.
No, I can't hear it.
All right. So if indeed Daniel Cormier, I still think there's a lot of things that still has to happen in order for you to be correct, though. So
okay, what more do I need to be? Does a meteor need to fall? Do we need to discover aliens?
No.
Do we need to know that the aliens are actually UFC fight fans? What? Does
okay,
Godzilla
so
need to show
Daniel
up?
Cormier has to win the fight. First of all, he has to win.
Okay.
Second of all, they have to offer him the fight, and he has to accept it. Because remember, he said that this is his last fight. So if he were to win, he still has to take that fight. He could say, no, I'm going to retire. I'm retired. I'm not going to fight this fight. He still could say that. So,
boy, y'all just holding on for hope, aren't you?
You're the one holding on for hope.
This is not an if situation. It is a win situation.
Listen,
Is he going to say it?
When are you going to stop telling the same tired story?
Right. This is not Jeff Neal versus Neil Magny certainty. This is uncertainty with directional possibility. Like, yes, it's possible now. It's in the realm of possibility, but a lot of things still need to fall in place for your dream to come true.
What?
I'm not eating any crow yet.
Okay, so you're saying that this has the same possibility as Obi-Wan fighting Darth Vader again. Yeah, okay. I got you.
I didn't say that at all because Star Wars.
It's gonna happen. I mean, who's Luke? Who's Luke? Okay, who's Luke? Who's Han Solo? Who's Princess Leia? I mean,
see, look, George he ain't even participating. He's like, no, I don't even go in here.
Cause he knows.
For the record, I've never seen Star Wars. Like, I don't get any of this reference.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of Combat Sports Talk.
He wears it like a badge of courage, man.
I need you to show up on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Bring your gloves, bring your mouthpiece,
popcorn,
bring headgear.
Yeah. he don't need a headgear. We only body spar.
Hey, I have one stipulation that will ever get me out there, and
come on.
I think we all know what it is.
You need Ryan on the mats.
Oh no, not even Ryan.
Yeah, he don't want none
There
of the
is
smoke.
somebody on your camp who could get me out there.
Who's that?
Maybe there's another trainer that could be training the same night.
I
I see what we can do. There you go.
Oh my.
Any Hoosiers, September 19th is a big day because even though it has not been officially announced by the UFC, Tyron Woodley is saying that it is a done deal. He is fighting Colby Chaos Covington. He says it's done.
Hold on,
There
let me
are
check
2
that
dates.
because I'm sorry to cut you guys off. I think it was just announced like maybe an hour ago before we hit airtime.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
continue on, please.
Well, there are 2 dates that matter the most in the world to me: September 19th and December 14th. Birthday and rebirth day for me. On birthday, December 14th, we got to see Colby Covington's jaw broken. How beautiful would it be if we saw a repeat of that on September 19th? It's not going to happen because Woodley can't win this fight, but oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
If he could go out with one big win,
God, that would be the best. And I hope he retires after he beats Covington, if that were to happen, because it would be a puncher's chance that he beat Colby, and he can't beat anyone else in the top 5 right now. Not with the way he's fighting.
Right. Okay, it's still not. Everybody's saying that it's gonna happen. No official word yet.
so we won't call it official, but Tyron Woodley is saying that the line that is dotted has been signed. So we'll just keep watching for that. Another one, Robert Whitaker has accepted a fight. I don't think it's been signed yet, but he is going to fight Jared Cannonier. Now we know that Jared Cannonier is a heavy hitter. He was injured.
Dark horse in that division.
He was injured, but it looks like he's coming back, and Robert Whitaker wants a piece of him. I'm excited about that fight because you got a guy that can end a fight early, and you got a guy who I still think Robert Whitaker is a complete fighter. I like Robert Whitaker a lot. I want to see what happens in this fight.
That is not a good matchup for Whitaker.
Ugh.
It's a lot of power.
Lot
of power. A lot of speed.
For a
He about
person
to
who
get
doesn't
all
like to
the
see
smoke.
bloodiness, you are really asking for a bloody fight there. Okay, that's gonna be that's not gonna be a pretty fight. Okay, that Robert's gonna have some problems that night, some serious problems.
Well, we will see. Now he says, "Why shouldn't I fight again?" He's had some challenges in his personal life that's kind of kept him from being fully engaged in his career. With those things resolved now, he can put all his focus on getting better, getting ready, and seeing what he can do against some of the scarier guys in the division. Maybe he can get another shot at Israel Adesanya. Jorge Masvidal is still angling for an immediate rematch with Kamaru Usman. Kalechi doesn't want to see that fight.
Mostly because the argument around that was like, oh, Jorge didn't have a full fight camp to be able to train for Usman. Well, Usman didn't have a full fight camp to train for Masvidal. Like, we're going to see the same. Like, Usman's only job right now is to protect his belt. Him going out there and trying to put on a show and putting himself at risk does nothing for him. So I don't think anything different happens.
There is a problem with your position though.
Okay.
Is when you say, well, Jorge Masvidal didn't have a full camp. Well, neither did Kamaru Usman. Usman had the cardio camp. He had 8 weeks or 12 weeks to get his cardio ready. Jorge Masvidal did not. And so whether or not he was able to train for a style, and Kamaru Usman was training for Gilbert Burns, and so they were both on the same level there. From a cardio perspective, Jorge Masvidal didn't have that cardio that he would need as well. So I don't mind them running this back. Adrian Lopez says that it was a boring fight. I think it was a boring fight because Kamaru Usman found that he couldn't just throw Jorge Masvidal around like he's done other folks. And so he's had to hold Jorge up. He had to, turn this into kind of that grappling style on the cage, Randy Couture style of fighting that we saw that night. But I think that if Jorge Masvidal, knowing what he knows now, I think it becomes a more dynamic fight. I'd like to see them run it back.
Why not?
I think George is frozen. You still there, George?
No, I'm
Yours?
I'm here. I just missed out on that. I was trying to respond to some fans on one of the streams. So what was the question? I'm sorry, I missed out on that.
So what do you think about running back Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman?
Oh yeah, we got to see that smoke. Come on, man. I know a lot of folks say, hey, they don't want to see that fight. They thought it was a boring fight or whatever the case may be. But realistically, I think if you give both fighters a chance to really prepare for each other, you're going to see a totally different fight.
So for me, it wasn't even that it was a boring fight, because I was enthralled the entire time, because you just never know what could happen if Usman lost control of that. Though I think that he fully dominated the wrestling piece of that. For me, the reason I don't want to run it back is there's too many other good fights to be had.
True. But
It's another way of stopping up the division for money fights for the top two fighters.
all I'm saying is that Kamaru said he made a promise that whoever was going to be the number one contender, that's who he was going to beat. That's who he's going to fight. Let Jorge fight his way up to the number one, and then we'll talk about it then. But don't try to jump the line.
Wait, I
There's
think
other
Jorge
people to
is
beat.
number
What
one.
line is he jumping? Yeah, like
Is he number one right? I thought he dropped down to number two.
no,
Number two,
I
number
mean,
three.
I mean, it's still in that place though. Like,
But hey, if he's the number one, he's got to
He-
fight. He's
the
gotta
only
fight.
other deserving candidate there is Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, that's a killer. We got to see that fight too. But hey, if he's number one,
Yeah.
got to fight the number one.
Well, as we're looking at it right now, number 1 is Gilbert Burns, 2 is Colby
Okay.
Covington, 3 is Leon Edwards, and 4 is Jorge Masvidal. So
And he's got to go through
How
Gilbert
did Leon
Burns.
Edwards get above Masvidal?
Because believe it or not, Leon Edwards is putting together wins. A lot of people don't seem to understand that.
And
He's
who is
putting-
he beating?
It don't matter. It
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Look, we
all right,
know
let's
who
go.
Jorge's beating. We know who Gilbert's beating. We know who Kobe has beaten. Name somebody Leon Edwards has even fought.
he fought
Who-
Masvidal
who did-
in the
Who
hallway.
did Leon fight the night that Masvidal slapped him?
That
that's a
is
good question.
That's a very good question.
I'm
You
pulling
get
it
what
up.
I'm saying?
He
pull it
fought
up as well.
Gunnar Nelson.
All right,
That's
that's
a solid
that's a
fight.
decent. Yeah, that's a.
All right,
So-
he's.
I don't
okay,
want no
and-
smoke with Gunner, so yeah, I'm calling that a decent fight.
And then he beat Rafael dos
RDA.
Anjos.
He beat RDA. He's
Okay.
beating Donald Cerrone.
Yep.
He's beating Vincent Luque. He lost to Kamaru. And everybody below that is just like, cans. But
Well,
he's only lost 3 fights, people. That's the thing we're trying to put. He's only lost 3 fights, and he is currently on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-fight win streak.
Mm.
And they will not give him a chance.
they don't want it because they don't want to give him a chance because he's like Kamaru Usman. He is one of those guys that's too talented and gives you problems. So
Yeah.
people don't want that L. So yeah, it's gonna be hard for him to find a fight. Kamaru needs to give him that fight, but at the
Yeah.
same time, the money fight, the fight that people want to see, is running back Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman, because even though it was a what many people will call a boring fight, it's a fight that we did not think was going to go the way that it went.
Right.
I know it would mess up the rankings, but I would love to see a Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns fight, because I feel like Gilbert could absolutely be the champ right now, but I want Kamaru to have a little more time with that belt, because once Gilbert has it, he's not letting that go.
Yeah, I agree with you there, because I honestly believe that once Gilbert Burns defeated the most dangerous man at welterweight, Damian Maia, he took
so much.
he is Damian Maia 2.0.
Oh, you hurt my soul with that one, bro.
Gilbert Burns is the grappling and Brazilian jiu-jitsu that Damian Maia brings to the cage, but better striking.
Yeah.
So,
and ground and pound.
and ground and pound. So, speaking of ground and pound, Conor McGregor's getting married.
What? What is that? What?
Just don't let him be. He needs Jesus.
So he announced his engagement to Dee Devlin, showed off the big ring. It is a very large diamond, but you can do that when your whiskey empire is worth 200 million pounds.
Which makes no sense.
I heard it's pretty good, dude.
I've
Yeah,
heard
it's
mixed
pretty-
reviews. I've heard mixed
It
reviews.
can't be that great, just given like the aging process for whiskey. So basically, he's just rebranded somebody else's work, or he's done what's more likely, which is to take a bunch of trash whiskeys, mix them all together, and create this blended malt whiskey. Like
You're saying that he made some blended Irish whiskey. An Irishman will find you for that, man. Okay, I wouldn't say that, dog.
So-
Okay?
all I know is he hasn't been in the whiskey game for at least 12 years. So
I'm just saying, Paul Felder just snapped out of a real bad dream because of that. He's like, hey, he don't even drink. I'm just saying.
Well,
the more important piece, why is this news?
I was
it's
wondering about that myself, Casey. I was like,
it's news.
how did that make the run sheet?
It made the run
Oh.
sheet just because I have a place in my heart for the fact that Dee Devlin has been with him since he was an
Nothing.
aspiring
So
plumber wanting to be somebody.
we're giving shouts out to D. That's what we're saying.
Yes,
Yes.
This is not a Connor segment. This is a D Devlin set.
absolutely. She
Yeah,
has
all
been
right.
with
Day
him
one.
from day one, from jump. She has been with him through all the antics. She has been with him through the questionable relationships that he has had. She has been with him.
Come on,
You know,
Casey.
so
It's not a role model.
we had Coach D on earlier, and he spoke to some of the difficulties that coaches go through in dealing with fighters. Man, sometimes we need to have on some of the significant others of fighters, because the significant others do put up with quite a few things, man. I can tell you, my significant other, she hates when I go into camp, but there are some things she loves about me being in camp. But the majority of it, it's yeah. loves the way I look during camp. Loves the physical prowess that's taking place in camp. But I become a different person, and fighters become different people in camps, man. So just a thought, since we're talking about Dee Devlin and how she has supported her man Conor McGregor throughout all these years.
Yeah, so I really wanted to give her the shout out, because I think that is she finally gets to Conor McGregor likes to say, get the red panties out. She gets to get them out. She got
panty night in the
I
McGregor home.
think they've had it out for at least twice. Okay, that's what I'm saying. There's at least 2 times before that those red panties came out. But
all right.
I'm just saying.
So speaking of creeping on the coming up on some major dollars, Joe Rogan and his $100 million contract to do his podcast on Spotify is going to find a new home. We're not the biggest MMA podcast in Texas anymore, y'all.
What is this?
I mean,
for now.
We weren't, but but we're definitely not now.
I was gonna say, I don't know. We might have been. I thought we were ranked like number 13 or something in the world at one point.
Well, we did. We do have quite a bit of Facebook followers. Followers around the world and things like that. So we do have a big following. I just never measured it up against other MMA podcasts in Texas. What I do know is that we don't have as many followers as Joe Rogan.
Absolutely
and we
not.
Don't talk about DMT as much as Joe Rogan. We don't come into interviews half baked like Joe Rogan. So
we
you don't do interviews and get half baked. Okay, I know, right?
I need y'all to speak for yourselves, fellas.
Yeah. What are y'all drinking tonight?
What's all this weed talk? Y'all speaking French?
So,
KC is up in Denver where it's legal.
Does not mean I partake. I just
whatever. I know what I'd be doing. If I was you, I'd be looking for the pimples on the. Y'all don't know about that.
I'm not even happy for this Joe Rogan move. Like, I just feel like his podcast, it has its place, but a lot of times, because Joe Rogan's main thing is really comedy and working ringside, like he has these guests that could be pressed in some really meaningful ways to just grow the discourse around politics. And instead, he just kind of lets people spout off unfact-checked drivel because he's not really truly prepared for this 3-hour interview that he's doing. So does it have its place? Yeah, it's entertainment, but I mean, to me, this money grab really just goes to show that it has nothing to do with the integrity of the art and everything to do with promoting and selling on it and all of his other brands and sponsors. So
okay, on Joe Rogan, bro.
Because like too many people
Joe
love him
never
without
started
being able
this
to.
show with the intention of being anybody's role model or a savior or any kind of political. And here we are now placing these expectations on him since he has this platform and has grown beyond immeasurable, beliefs. Do we change the way we look at him now? And
Yeah.
No.
But I say no. That was never his intent, and he doesn't have to change. He's just saying, you know what? California's jacked right now. I'm moving to Texas, and
But that's not why he's moving.
And I'm going to save $13 million in doing so.
Yeah. See, that's to me the underlying heart of it is like everyone likes to talk about like, oh, well, he feels like the liberal left has gone too far. It's like he's not moving to Texas for the politics. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
he's moving because there's no property tax. Oh, no, I'm sorry, no state tax.
Yeah.
And he's going to save $13 million on tax. Like, I don't care what I'm doing. If you tell me I'm going to save $13 million, I'll move tomorrow.
I will tell you that I save 15%.
What's wrong with him doing that? Why are we hating on him for making a smart move?
No, we're not doing that joke. Okay, we're not doing that joke tonight. Look, if we looked, okay, I'm gonna repeat what Jon Stewart said to Fox's Crossfire. If y'all look to me to be the most accurate political source on TV, you're doing it wrong. Okay, I do not look at Joe Rogan and be like, he should be the guy that presses these guys there. No, he's there. He's just gonna talk to them. He's gonna say what they're gonna say. And guess what? If anything, if you really want to know if it's the truth or not, do the research yourself. That's how it's supposed to be done. I don't look at Joe Rogan for If I look at Joe Rogan for political correction and to be the truth meter to political correctness, I have done it wrong.
I agree to an extent. I believe in the personal responsibility of every consumer to understand the bias that the platform that they have is bringing into it. And I believe that the most important thing that news or anyone who is presenting the news can do is really shine a light on an issue and present resources for the individual to do their own homework. You should never get your news from memes. You should never get your news from Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan does not know what he's talking about. Hands down.
He's honest about that. He tells you, hey, do not get your news from me. Hey, I am not an intelligent person. Hey, I am the dumbest guy in the room every time I put somebody on my show. I mean, he's always spit that mantra out.
Hey, I'm the guy that's going to talk to you about UFOs and aliens. That's that dude. Okay. He's had Eddie Bravo.
Can we get the X-Files music, please?
Okay. He got Eddie Bravo on
It's playing.
And trust me, Eddie Bravo's, he's on that. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the problem. It's because of Joe Rogan's platform, he can now give any Yahoo airtime that they really don't need. It hurts the discourse when we're pumping more lies out into the world. So for all the people who want to talk about fake news, but then you listen to Joe Rogan's podcast and you hear everyone throwing out their unchecked, completely biased opinions, but we don't want to call that fake news. My whole thing with Joe Rogan is be who you are and nothing more.
But that is who he is.
He is.
I mean, I think that's what. I mean, let's be clear. We have put out some unchecked opinions on this show. I mean, you have said that Chet Congo is the greatest fighter in heavy. Like that is unchecked. That is baseless. We have proven that.
Chet Congo has one of the best finishes in the entirety of combat sports.
He meant that when he said it, y'all. He said that with his soul.
That's conviction there.
There was conviction in that. All right. But seriously.
Facts.
You just said it though. if people say something, we should, especially in this age of quote unquote fake news. Okay, and I just got through uh, looking at an article um, that was talking about how they've done it for years, that they have made this quote unquote evil genius plan of how they've made the world so subversive to the media and everything like that, that you are voting against your best interests. That's a true to life thing, and it's gotten to the point now that you have to do the research. If somebody says something, unless you trust this person with your absolute life, go research it. Go research it. I mean, people could say all sorts of crazy things. I know I say about 5 crazy things in a day, okay? And my own kids will go and try and fact check me, okay? That's just how it is, and I'm applauding them for it because they're thinking for themselves. That's what I want you to do. Think for yourselves. Don't just take my words for it. Go out there and find out.
Yeah, be like LeVar Burton. Don't just take my word for it. Read the book.
Reading Rainbow. Is that what we're
That's
doing now?
Your
That's what
cultural
we should go out
awareness
on
moment.
tonight. We should
That's
go out on
appropriate.
Reading Rainbow tonight. That's what we should go.
Um. So, but the last thing is on this is you should see the new design of his studio though. It looks pretty cool.
Okay.
Um.
All that new money. Oh,
Yeah.
hold on, real quick. Dear Spotify, despite my strong opinions on Joe Rogan, I would very much like to take some of that money. Thank you for consideration.
Combat Sports Talk for your consideration. We'll be waiting on that. So we'll see. But we'll also be waiting on the fight between Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. It has been postponed until November 28th. It is not
Somebody
happening.
With no explanation?
Yeah, there's an explanation. There's a reason why, because somebody heard us. All right, they've
Yeah,
actually
it's because that whole now was it WBC is trying to make them wear headgear and all that mess.
Yeah, headgear, heavier gloves, and everything like that. Because I'm like, y'all go ahead and put them 2 bulls in there if y'all want to, and see what happens.
Yeah, I think they found
I know
out.
murder when it's about to happen.
Yeah, I think that they realized that these guys were not going in there to just play patty cake. That they were looking to headhunt, and they're like, this is like whenever you go to buy a gun and they have that 72-hour waiting period. That's when they're like, oh, these guys going into the ring. Yeah.
What you about doing it? Oh, we just gonna sport. That's all. We just sporting.
It's just an exhibition. It's just an exhibition. That's all we're doing. Mike Tyson's like, I'm ecstatic to take somebody's head off.
Oh,
I feel like everyone does that impression wrong. I can't wait for the Jamie Foxx movie to come out because he nails the impression of.
Yes, he does.
Tyson. His voice isn't all that high.
Mike Tyson's voice is very high. I'm sorry.
Actually, it kind of is.
It's kind of high.
Intense.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of high.
Say to his face, and then we'll have some
No,
veracity.
no,
No.
No, sir, Mr. Tyson, you sound great.
That's right.
Mr. Tyson, we want more ice in your water, sir.
Now, somebody that does have a high-pitched voice is Valerie Laruda, who was broke out the dance moves after her Bellator 243 victory. Everybody's upset. Like, this is like the Super Bowl. This is like the Super Bowl all over again. Like, you had Shakira and you had Jennifer Lopez. They are dancing at halftime. What do you think the moves are going to be?
Who wants to
Probably the bachata, merengue, cumbia, salsa.
There's going to be a lot of hip shaking.
Yeah.
You know, for all the hoo-ha I heard on this story, I would have thought that she was twerking on Bellator's, cage or something like that.
Almost
And
did,
then
dude.
I mean, it wasn't like a Cardi B
Wap.
the Stallion moment. It was.
Yeah.
I mean,
It knocked
so
his dancing.
it wasn't a world star hip. It wasn't a world star moment.
It was definitely, it was not a world star moment, but you know how you get close to the edge without falling over. She was edging there, and it didn't help because the music was fine. If you listen to the background music, she was doing fine. I was like, okay, she's doing it. And then Petey Pablo came on. Thank you, Petey Pablo. Because when it went there, she went there with it, and I think she caught it in her mind, like, oh, I'm not in the club anymore, and she snapped out of that drink. Because
So
if you
what you're
listen
saying is I need to go watch this.
Yeah.
I'm just
I think
saying,
you'll
if
be
you listen
disappointed,
to
to be honest.
Yeah,
I think
you
it's
will be
been
disappointed.
overhyped.
Yeah.
it's not overhyped. It's kind of overhyped. People who are hating on this and call it cringy, you have no rhythm. All right, I'm gonna tell you that right now. They called it
is-
cringy. I'm like,
Did
y'all
y'all
need to.
see Dana White's Contender Series this week or
Mm-mm.
last week?
What happened?
I'm forgetting the guy's name, but he won a contract, and during the fight, he chokes out his opponent. And to celebrate, he drops down and does the splits, and there's a little bounce at the bottom of the splits. I'm like,
Oh, was it?
So this
Was
how we
it?
celebrate
Was
now?
it? Was it? Siskumba split or was it Jean-Claude Van Damme split?
The first one, which made it even more like, oh, so this is what we doing now, huh?
All right.
No. It's about the bounce at the bottom. Like, we're talking about twerking and being unacceptable on TV. Like, I feel like what he did should have garnered more conversation than what Valerie did. And she's, it's the double standard of she's attractive. I don't like her as a person, but she's attractive.
Dang.
And so everything she does
is looked at. Why you not like her as a person?
Yeah,
and she's ethnic.
Oh, yep. She's ethnic.
When Valentina does her twirl about dance, nobody says anything.
Yes, but Valentina's twirl about dance is not seductive in any way.
But it is an ethnic display of pride. And that's all that Valerie probably was doing.
Well, you haven't seen it. You haven't seen it.
Right.
But
twerking is an ethnic tradition.
It is not ethnic tradition in Latin America.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
Your Wakanda passport has been completely withdrawn.
Bruh, if you don't
I ain't trying to get look, I'm Killmonger now.
You're Killmonger. Yeah, your passport definitely is withdrawn.
Well, I do think that there is a big piece to what Coach is saying here, in that there is a double standard even with the ethnicity and what we find seductive. So for one, it's a display of prowess. For another, it's I hate that it's being like twerk is in the same vernacular as like anyone who knows how to dance. Well, a lot of people who know how to Latin dance would be like, that was not twerking. Right. Like, she was freestyling for sure, but she was not twerking. And even if she was twerking, what's
wrong with that?
Like, why are we penalizing sexuality?
It is the same reason why people will.
Ryan just is like, nope.
Well, it's a double standard, because what's going to end up happening is we're like, well, why are we penalizing sexuality whenever Valerie dances the way she danced? Let's reiterate. None of us found a problem with the way that she danced, that it was any way seductive or otherwise sultry in any way that was inappropriate for what happened. We don't believe that it was. But let's assume that that it was. In saying, well, why do we find that wrong? It's because of the fact that at least for me, and I can only speak for myself, it is so important to see these female athletes as female athletes. And that when you go and you dance seductively and those types of things, then there are those people who are going to respond and see you as not an athlete and as a piece of meat. And this is the way that these fighters have been portrayed, and they're finally getting the respect. They're finally getting equal billing, and I want to continue to see that.
But that's on the people who choose to view and see them in that way. That says something about them, not about her. Or
yes, I understand that, but but in response to Kalechi's point is, well, why are we concerned about someone showing their sexuality? Well, because of the fact that it slides that perspective from them being this great athlete who just had a freaking amazing knockout back to a piece of meat.
Yeah, but
Let me
UFC
ask you this:
does for
how
the
many
fighters
female
themselves.
fighters have we ever had these kind of conversations about before, who were of other than women of color?
Well,
No one's ever talked about Ronda Rousey's sexuality. She posed nude. Misha Tate posed nude. Gina Carano, sexual scenes in movies. So it's shocking to me that here we are talking about Valerie, who's not even a top tier fighter. And
but no, that is the ethos of our show. We haven't talked about them because for me, I'm not comfortable talking about female fighters in that way because I feel like it disrespects the athleticism that they bring and the talent they bring to the ring. This is something that we have done for 135 episodes.
Is not that we haven't done it because it's not a part of our show. Culturally, it's we don't attack white women when they do things like this, but we do go after women of color.
No. What I'm saying is that you go on a different MMA podcast and they're talking about which MMA fighter, female fighter, is the hottest, which MMA fighter is the sexiest. All of those things. Those are common topics that happen on other MMA shows that do not happen on this show. So the fact that we are talking about Valerie right now, let's not lose track of the fact that we have defended Valerie on this show, saying that what she did was not out of the ordinary. So this is not us saying that she did anything wrong. We are standing beside her in this. The point that I am making is that we are not that type of show that's going to talk about women in that way.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm with you on that.
But I will call out the promotions. I think the UFC fighters, again, I wish they had a union, but I think the fighters, both male and female, have talked about the way that when they do photo shoots, how the UFC in particular tries to play up the sex appeal aspect of it, and it is all about the abs and having oiled up your body and presenting your assets in a certain way, and that's both male and female. So there is a problem in how not how we are, but the promotions are framing it, and I think we've seen the same with Bellator. And to me, this is where, as a promotion, they could step in and really make their voice heard. And we stand with women. We stand with our fighters to say that they're good fighters. And you don't have to look at all this other extracurricular to judge them. Judge them about how they are as people and how they are in the octagon. And that's where I just don't see either promotion really taking care of their fighters and standing for them. Like, to shut down all of this online stuff, which in some ways, let's be real, the buzz is good, both good and whether positive or negative, the buzz is good for her as a rising star, but it's not taking into account the emotional toll that it has to be in the spotlight. Yes, she's been wanting this with all of her modeling, but it's that Israel Adesanya of, like, the spotlight hits you like that, and you've got to have people in your corner who are supporting you. And I just wish that I would see more of Bellator and UFC, whether male or female, really backing their fighters and saying that we're not going to let this get out of hand, which it's starting to quickly spiral for Valerie.
Sure. So since we're talking about Bellator, there's one thing that we need to talk about, and that is Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is a free agent now. And so he dispatched Benson Henderson in the first round with a devastating knockout. Had Benson Henderson tail up, head down on the coma in the cage,
shaking tail feathers.
Yeah, and so he has the opportunity to look at other options. So Bellator, I guess, has the right of first refusal, and they're going to try to keep him there. But he could very well move to the UFC. You know,
have you seen that crossover?
We have seen very few fighters leave Bellator and go to the UFC.
Yeah,
seen it the other way.
Yeah,
the graveyard way, but
right.
Oh wow.
So
this would be interesting.
I would love to see what Chandler could do in the UFC. The challenge is I would love to see him come as a champion, but he lost his belt, and so he's coming as a contender. But I would love to see what he could do against the talent in the UFC. So we'll see what he says. That'll be our headliner when it happens.
Okay.
All right, last segment, the fight card. Here we go. This is the fight card. This is where we talk about the fights that are happening on Saturday night. UFC 252, Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier 3, Saturday, August 15th, 2020 in the UFC Apex Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. We got a small ring with big dudes. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
All right, we got
a lot of big meat on that roster there.
We've got 5 fights on the card. We got Magomed Ankalaev versus Ion Cutelabra. Or is it Eon?
Say that again.
Eon Cutelabra. It's Eon.
Laba.
Cutelaba.
Mm.
You got John.
Mr. Lava.
You got John Dobson versus Merab Divishvili. There we go. You got Junior Dos Santos versus Lorenzo Rosenstruck.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that.
You got Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera. And for the main event, you've got Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. We're gonna make some, flash fight picks on. Really, we could do 4 of the 5 fights.
Yeah, let's do 4.
All right,
Let's do 4.
John Dodson versus Merab Devishvili.
I like John. I like the Magic Man.
I don't know enough about Merab Devishvili to say one way or the other. But what I can speak to is this trend of fighters who've been around for a while losing fights we thought they should win. I haven't seen John Dodson necessarily on a downward streak, but I don't know enough about Merab, and so I'm going to reserve judgment on that one.
All right, Kalechi.
I can't echo it any more clearer than Coach did there.
Here's the thing for me. I'm leaning towards Merab Devishvili, and the reason why is because John Dodson is a great 125-pound fighter. He has struggled to find his way at 135. I think that 135 is a bit too big for him. So I'm going to go with Merab just because I think that John Dodson really should be fighting at 125 as opposed to 135. Junior Dos Santos versus Lorenzo Rosenstruck. Who you got? We'll go with you, Kalechi. We'll start with you.
JDS has got this. Rosenstruck has the power to win this fight, but it comes down to that mental state that we were talking before with other coach. Just because, oh my gosh, the way the Rosenstruck look in his last couple of fights, when he comes ready to fight, he's ready to fight. But he's fighting a veteran. You never know.
John.
So,
okay, George.
Oh, go ahead, Coach. Go ahead, Coach.
Casey, I got to take odds with you on this one. This matchup is different in that, this is going to be a striker's matchup. And Rosenstruck is a real striker. I think his striking is a little bit more decorated than Santos. And unless Santos decides to make this a real MMA fight as opposed to just a stand-up striking fight, I think we're going to see Rosenstruck, step outside and actually take over this fight, man.
This might be just my lack of sports history here, but it was Rosenstruck versus Overeem where Rosenstruck won at the very last second, right?
Right.
No,
That's correct.
We were at the Lion and Crown when that happened, remember?
Oh, okay. So that's what made me lean my way. It's like Rosenstruck should have had that fight from jump. And he could have easily lost that had it not been the last couple of seconds there. So if he shows up, the Rosenstruck that we saw the fight before Overeem, then he's going to win all day, every day. It just depends on which version shows up.
John Keys.
I feel you.
I'm going to go with Rosenstruck as well. It's going to be one of those situations that they'll start off a striking match until Rosenstruck hits Dos Santos, and then Dos Santos, all of a sudden, you're a wrestler now, and that's what's going to happen because he's going to get hit hard and hard well, and I don't think Junior can take them hits like he used to.
Yeah, especially those neck kicks.
Oh yeah, he tends not to see it.
I think that Rosenstruck's going to win, but I'm going with Junior Dos Santos. And the reason why I'm going with Junior Dos Santos is because I really do think that Junior Dos Santos brings a more decorated striking pedigree than Rosenstruck. Rosenstruck is a big dude. He's a strong dude. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have. I don't think he's got the experience and the skill set that Junior Dos Santos has. So I'm going to pick Junior Dos Santos, but I won't be surprised if I'm wrong because I'm wrong a lot.
He said it.
Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera. We go with you, Coach.
I'm going with Sugar Shane O'Malley on this one, man. He's been hot. He's been riding this wave, and I don't see it stopping, man. He's calling out any and everybody. He wants to fight Cody Garbrandt.
Cody don't want that smoke.
What he should do is fight his barber, but that's a whole different show.
Nah, Sugar got it. Sugar got this one. He's on fire. He has something to prove. Okay, and he's going to prove it.
Kelechi.
I believe that Sugar will test positive for another substance before the fight, and he will lose to USADA.
Oh man,
Wow.
I don't like that guy.
All right, I'm going with Sean O'Malley as well. I think he's just head and shoulders above a lot of these guys. We need to get him fighting some of the top fivers and see what he can really do. All right, in the main event of the evening, you got Stipe Miocic versus DC Daniel Cormier. I'm gonna go with you first, John Keys.
DC. This is how it's gonna happen. He's gonna come in there. He's gonna go for a shoot. He's gonna do that flip body slam that he does. He's gonna hit him with a hammer fist, about 2 or 3 of those shabibity paps, and then he's gonna call it. It's gonna be called a match. Dana's gonna give him the belt, and he's like, "I heard there's a chump that's coming up to the heavyweight division. His name is John Jones. I hope he's cleaned up. He can come get some of these." And that's how it's gonna happen.
All right, Kelechi.
I think we are all going to marvel at how well DC wins with this knee.
Mr. Stallworth.
I am stepping outside of conventional thoughts on this. Stipe Miocic retains his title via knockout.
Wow. Knockout.
Wow.
That's bold.
But there's a legitimacy to that, because they've been talking. It's not really been trash, but they've been irritating Stipe. And Stipe is like, he's gonna do.
They've been disrespecting Stipe.
Yes, they have.
But the chin of Cormier. Remember when he was knocked down twice on a single punch by Anthony Rumble Johnson?
Yeah.
Didn't
Didn't
Stipe knock him out last time?
Was it a real knockout?
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
Them body shots. Them body shots.
Yeah.
Have you ever been body shot to sleep? Like, I just want to go to bed right now. Have you ever been hit so hard that you just want to go to bed? That's
Ryan has, for sure.
And I still won the fight, but let's just saying.
And they got it in right at the end. People.
Yep.
Make sure you get your drink in. I'm going with DC. DC was winning the fight till he wasn't. DC was winning the first fight and he won it. I don't think that Stipe is at DC's level. I think DC knows to wrestle now, so we're going to see Stipe taken to the ground. This may not be an exciting fight, and it may go all 5 rounds, but DC is going to do more than enough to win this fight. So I got DC. I think he's going to retain the title, and then as soon as he gets the title, he's going to be like...
Retain the title?
Or he's going to obtain the title. There you go.
He wins that title, he's not going anywhere.
He is going. He is leaving.
He's got one more fight.
Gloves off. Why would you
put a bet on this somehow? Because this is too much.
No. When I am right, which we'll be back for the next show, and I will be proven right, and then I'll be like, hey, John Keys.
Now we can hear the audio.
Yeah, we
yeah,
can
I
hear the
love how
audio
he
now.
had
Yeah.
his cue up
What is
already
that?
set.
What is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I
Wait to the end with that.
that's right. You know, that's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying, people. Mark my words. If I'm wrong, I'll be happy to be wrong because DC has done it. He's done everything that he needs to do. He can walk out. He can walk out of that ring and be and know that he does not need to prove anything to anybody
Right.
but
So
himself.
he doesn't
And
need to prove anything.
he's got to prove something to himself. Therefore, if he wins that belt, he's gonna say, "I got one more fight, Dana. Find me my number." Okay,
All
and that
right.
number is
It's
gonna
a
be a
side-eye.
small number. It's gonna be one. It's gonna be a single digit number, but it's gonna have a lot of zeros behind it. Remember that. All right.
All
A
right.
lot of zeros.
Follow us on social media. On Instagram, I'm at Combat Sports Talk.
I'm at Keys to Victory, and that's Keys with an ES.
I'm at Push Pull Pray.
What's that? The grinder account.
Bruh. No shame in it. It's at Ryan's house.
I like that one. That was tight. That was witty. You got on him on that one, dude. I changed my social media handle for Instagram, and do you know somebody still already had what I was changing it to? But right now I'm at darkside_Muay Thai _.
Yeah, we gotta. So
Right.
this is what we gotta do, folks. We gotta come up with a new Instagram handle for George Stallworth because darkside_Muay Thai _ is long and difficult to type. We want something
Agreed.
simple. We gotta come find it out though because everybody's already taken every other option that he's ever had.
Do they take Punch Boy? That's what I want to know.
Yes, Punch Boy is actually taken too.
I like Punch Boy, but at the same time, it gives bad connotations. Like I don't want my fighters being known as Punch Boys. You know that sounds like somebody you beat up on.
But there's irony with that, right? Because if your
Yeah.
fighters are elite, you can wear pink if you want. Like you wear pink, call yourself Punch Boys, but they not gonna lose.
What you gonna say about it?
What you gonna say about it?
Okay.
I would like to submit the name Pretty Boy MMA.
What?
Nope. Pretty
No.
Boy. No. Okay.
No.
Cool.
No, so here's the story. I don't know. Do you know the story of Punch
What I
Boy?
do like about Darkside Muay Thai though is the initials for it turn out to be DMT. Shout out to Joe Rogan.
I hate
So just a little bit on where Punch Boy comes from, because you were gonna hear us talk about Punch Boy a lot
Quite a bit.
in the future. So Punch Boy is all about. George was saying that Darkside was something that he was really wanting to keep as his moniker, but it came from the Thai language where Dakmud, DAKMUD, right?
Mm-hmm.
DAKMUD was dark side. So I put it into Google Translate to see what it translates to, and instead of it translating to dark side, it translated to Punch Boy, and we all thought like, oh, we could be Punch Boy, and so Punch Boy was born. So if you hear us referencing Punch Boy was the Google translation of Dakmud, which is the Thai version of Dark Side. All right, shout out to MMA Junkie, MMA Fighting, MMA Mania, and Bloody Elbow, and the Intelligent Defense Discussion Group. That is where we get our stories and where a lot of the discussions you heard tonight start off and take place. But we want to shout out all the sites that give us the stories that we use on our show. On behalf of John Keys, George.
One more shout out, bruh.
Oh, we got to shout out
we
the
gotta
coach,
shout out
Coach Durwyn
D,
Lim.
man.
Yes,
absolutely, and showing up on the show.
Absolutely.
He gave us the 2-piece and the biscuit.
He sure did. He sure did.
He did.
Shout out to Coach Durwyn Lamb for his time, not only for the interview that he gave us, but also being on the show with us tonight. We will post his information on Combat Sports Talk and with our show tonight. So thank you all for joining us. On behalf of Kalechi KC Onyebuchi, George G Money Stallworth, John the Keys to Victory Keys. My name is Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs. We'll catch you next time.